So a big boost we got in that game for the Dyna squad was a guy by the name of Mike Sweeney comes off the bench. You guys want to interject about what he did for the team?
Yeah, well, Mike was a pretty good friend of mine. Mike was not a very good basketball player, I'll be honest with you.
He would say that. He would agree.
He was 6'7", and tall, lanky, got pushed around a lot, just didn't hold his ground. But for some reason, the moment overcame him. And he decided, I can do this. And we decided to feed him some balls, and he scored, 2-3 times in a row. And we said, I think we have a spark plug here. And I don't know how many points he got that game, but we made sure that we'll just take whatever he can give us, and we're going to run with it. And then when he gets cold, he'll probably not see the court again.
he was never known as instant offense, except for that day, and it was just instant energy. He always had fun, loving. The guy is super fun and crazy and energetic, and he brought this energy into the game, and he just found himself near the hoop, and he was able to put the ball in. It was fantastic.
6 points. He had 6 points.
Okay.
But it came in a very compressed time and a needed time when we maybe just missed a couple of shots or needed to close the gap a little bit. It was perfect.
So then we get to a point in the game where there's a steal down the sideline and Ray Branch is taken off and he comes down here. Pat Donahue contesting the shot. You guys want to relive that moment?
I tried to block that out of my mind. Actually, no. Pat Donahue was the amazing fundamental guy, and he played it perfectly. He played defense perfectly. But Ray is an athlete, and he's a creative basketball guy, and he didn't have. Sometimes guys grow up with the rules and they're blocked by how things should be. Ray was flowing and twisting and turning and threw some shot up that really shouldn't have been made, but he made it.
He was known for those kind of shots.
Yeah, and he could do it. And that's the beauty of a Ray Branch. He's just that skilled. And the crowd went utterly berserk.
And it did. And one thing I got from talking to Kevin's brothers about Ray is interesting how close we were, but how he bought into what their guys were doing too. Because he was kind of a wild card. He didn't really know what Ray was going to do. And I think that helped them up down the line. Do you guys remember the last sequence of the game at all?
I just remember that they had a shot, that they could have beat us, and we won. It just worked out for us. I can't tell you really more than that. It was just kind of a blur because you're running to put yourself in a position to put as much pressure on the shooter as you possibly can without fouling him.
And that was Scott Thompson missed that shot over there.
Yeah, I think you guys were up 2. Scott Thompson got fouled, made one of the free throws, so you guys were up 1. Missed the second one. Jefferson.
That sounds right.
Got the
Jefferson
rebound.
gets the rebound.
Yeah.
Sweeney might have been in the game at that time. I think I just read this yesterday.
Okay.
And I don't remember. But anyway, Jefferson had got the ball at the very end, and Thompson took a shot and missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go into the end of the season. It's the last game of the season at home. You got Jefferson coming in. Dyna's undefeated. Jefferson has 1 loss at the time, and that's to Dyna. It's the last home game. Do you guys remember anything vividly about getting ready for that game, or just tell us what you remember about that?
Exciting, because we get to kind of turn the tables and bring it back to our place, right? And we knew the crowd was going to show up on our side, and I think what were you saying, that by halftime of the JV game, nobody else is allowed in the building? One of those scenarios, sold out type of a deal, and I think we played how many games it was from the Jefferson game here, just in a fog until we got to play them again, because that's really what it came down to. It's going to be that game, and just a lot of excitement. I remember long practices and preparing for everything, very detailed, and one of those deals. And Coach Sabry was going to make sure we were prepared to see anything.
So Edina is a hockey town. Every hockey game is packed. Jefferson's a basketball town. Every basketball game was packed. But as we progressed, we started seeing more and more sellouts. And this was going to be the culmination of the sellout against the defending state champ. They're still the defending state champ. And they're still our biggest challenge. And we got to get over it. And so having a new night in the basketball program, to me, was kind of a big deal. The pep band, it was jam-packed. It was exciting. The fact that, hey, we actually have a full crowd here at a basketball game is awesome. It had happened before, for that year, for sure. But it was just another level to say, hey, this is a fun game. And we actually came out firing. It was a good night.
Yeah.
I remember that game. I was at that game, the one at Edina that we were talking about. And you guys had your pep band.
Jazz band.
Jazz band.
Yeah, it was a
Jazz band. You guys, they were like in a back room. And then they started playing and coming out single file with their instruments, and they'd be playing a song in the middle of it. It's like a dance party. Like Denny Terrio was hanging out someplace, and I was like, man, I hate these guys. they even do that really cool. They had a really good team.
They had the yellow jackets and the green shirts on.
jackets.
Yeah.
I
They were
remember
awesome.
that.
Phil Caldwell and just the guys who could blow it.
Oh, they were tremendous.
They were
It
amazing.
was so fun.
I still don't know how they got the band every home game for us that year, but that's
Yeah.
another
Yeah,
matter.
it was
Anyways, that doesn't happen too often.
But big game also to win the conference, right?
Absolutely. It was necessary.
Because if you guys lose that,
Yeah.
Share
then
the
it
title.
tightens up
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know who wins.
Yeah, exactly.
Conference.
So we get to regions, and we'll just move right along to the region championship game. We're at Augsburg, playing Jefferson. Do you guys remember the starting lineups at all? Especially Edina's. There was one person missing.
You're asking questions and you're putting pressure on us, Jim. What in the
35
world?
years, Jim.
Yeah,
I
come on.
know.
I'm
Hey, this is part of.
You're going to have to help us out with that.
Okay. Well, you had Pat Donahue,
Yep.
Robert Wassner, Rick Rather,
Yep.
Richie Cohen, and who
Yep.
was the fifth starter?
Who played wing?
It used to have been, it could have been Steve Schroeder or, now I can't think of the guy who actually started.
Mike Sweeney started.
Mike Sweeney
Steve
started.
Schroeder did not play that game. Do you guys remember why?
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't.
I just got done watching this weekend, and he
Now
did
that I
not
think about
play
it-
that game.
Now that I think about it, I wonder if he tweaked, I don't know if it was a knee or a quad or a hammy thing. I think he was tender
Okay.
and couldn't go 100%.
And then Jefferson had Ray Branch, Scott Thompson, Tim Lynch, Chris West, and Steve Hill.
Yeah.
For Edina off the bench, the only one that played that game I have is Blake Hansen. And then for Jefferson, Sean Day and Andy Rechtenwall played.
Yeah.
So we're going into that game. Edina's undefeated. Jefferson's got 2 losses now. Do you guys prepare any differently for that game as in any other game?
No, the practices were the same. We knew our opponent. They knew us. We both knew that we knew each other. We knew the strengths, we knew the weaknesses. It came down to execution, and it's whether we could stop them with our matchup zone and whether we could get good looks. We thought we could, but you're never sure, right? We knew the game was not going to be like the game at Edina. When we had a bigger lead, it was a more comfortable game. I think we all expected that it was going to be a very similar game to the one here at Jefferson. And so we just steeled ourselves ready for that type of a matchup.
Yeah, just take the previous 2 games we had together and just ramp it up another level, and that's what you got.
As far as you looked at Jefferson, what were their strengths, offensively or defensively? Anything in particular you remember about their strengths? And then what were Edina's strengths?
Yeah.
Jefferson just, first of all, really well coached. I mean, crazy how well coached they were. And what
You might get a free dinner if Evs walks in.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just telling you that you weren't going to see mistakes.
No.
Force the other team to make the mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say a couple things that came to mind. We really had to kind of corner Ray, because if he sliced and diced, if he used his creativity to kind of get in the middle of our zone, then he could dish it out or make a couple of shots. We knew if he got hot, he could make some weird shots. I think we also felt that we could put a little pressure on him and maybe turn the ball over a little bit, because if we were able to trap him at the right time, maybe put a little pressure, maybe throw the ball away too. So there was a strength and a weakness with the same guy. That's what Pat and I were out in the front of the zone were looking to do.
Yeah, and we knew their post play was going to be really good. We knew that was going to be solid. So we got to try to neutralize all that, try to keep it close. But I agree with Rob. I do remember that we were going to try to make Ray do things all by himself. Try to dribble through this, Ray. And he could. Make no mistake, he could do it. But we were going to try to, make him do things that might take some other players out of the game a little bit. That's all we were trying to do with him.
And we talked about Ray, and the antithesis of Ray is Pat Donahue.
Right.
Pat was not a point guard, and coming into his senior year, I remember him feverishly working on ball handling with Coach Fununger, but he was an incredibly intense, passionate, and intelligent player.
Right.
Maybe tell a little bit about the contrast of style between those two.
Well, you hit it right. They're the opposites. Pat was a thinking man. He was a high basketball IQ, and Ray was a high basketball IQ just in the creative side.
Yeah.
Pat was the fundamental guy, and he'd use his body better than any other point guard because he had to. His skills with his hands weren't as gifted as Ray or as Steph Curry, right? But Pat always could be counted on to get to the right guy. He had a great court awareness and eyes.
And having Rob and Pat on the floor at the same time is like having your two top assistant coaches on the floor at the same time. That's going to talk to you about, hey, be here, be here, be here. Let's run this. It was great. I mean, because they're handling the ball, and so we do have to listen to them and take direction on what they want to do. Yeah.
So the first half is rolling along, and for Jefferson, Chris West is leading the way. He's hitting shots, putting putbacks, and Rob, you were the one really kind of keeping Edina in the game in the first half. And at the end of the first half, it was 22-20. And Jefferson was up. So is this kind of how you see the game evolving down the stretch too? It's where it's at right now. It's real tight. I felt we were playing a little bit tight that night. We struggled to get some shots to go down, some easy ones from the Dyna standpoint. But what's your thoughts coming out of halftime here?
Well, I thought Rob played real well. You had a terrific game, and I struggled. This was just a night,
You had a couple shots that you got down.
It was a struggle for me, So I was going to try to do the little things. But coming out of halftime, we knew. I think we all really felt it's going to come down to the last minute, so let's just keep it close. I don't think anybody expected either of us to push it up to 8, 10 points. Right. It's just not tonight. It wasn't going to happen.
I think both teams packed it in. The shots that we had more open were on the perimeter. I kind of wish we had a three-point line back then. We probably would have scored a couple more points. They might have too. I don't remember the shot selection they had, but there were more shots available in the wing. And that's where I was. Chris.
Chris West.
Chris and Sean and their big guys. They were really strong on the boards, and we had to fight that. Even though we were bigger, they were just as big, and they looked like they were really comfortable
us on the boards.
Yeah,
fully.
So the third quarter ends, and it's Jefferson 32, Edina 28. And
big lead.
Yeah,
that's right.
Doubled their lead at half.
No three-point line. So we come down to the last sequence of the fourth quarter, and it's probably with, I got about 3 minutes left. And Pat Donahue hits a 2 to put Edina within 1. It's Jefferson 32-31 at this point. And Pat has a big shot at the top of the key. You guys remember that moment and maybe take it from there a little bit?
Rob?
Yeah, that was a big one. Pat's strength in shooting was right at the top of the key. If he had that spot, that was his most comfortable spot, and he nailed it. And that brought us obviously within a point. You said, and that was a big deal. And then because we had been battling, right? We never got over the hump. I don't think we had the lead until 14 seconds left in the game. So between 3 minutes and 14 seconds left, we're feverishly trying to hold people off, hold Jefferson from extending the lead. And it's kind of fuzzy in that middle range from 3 to about a minute left. There's just a lot of passing, a lot of shooting. I remember we held the ball forever and didn't get a shot off. Jefferson comes back and at some point with like 24 seconds left, it's a 1-point game.
I think they missed some free throws too.
They did. That's exactly right.
Jefferson missed some free throws.
Missed some free throws, which kept it within a 1-point game. And we called timeout with 25 seconds left or so. And as we're looking at the field, at the court from the benches, we're on the left side of the court. And just like we're sitting here in the Jefferson Auditorium, Jefferson fans are on that side, the players, the field side, and the Edina fans are behind us on the bench side. And I'm thinking this whole thing, and we move the ball around, and we get a shot, and we score with 14 seconds left.
And that was
You hit the shot.
I hit a shot.
That was a deep three. I remember that.
And you know what? We'll get the highlights of this because we have the highlights. But
Yeah.
the ball's being moved very well, and I think you might have just caught out of the corner of your eye. The guy on the top of the zone for Jefferson just instantly just turned his head, and you got the ball up top, and it just gave you that split second, and you got that shot off and hit it.
Every now and then you just see a time when you have an opening. Kevin, you've seen it thousands of times, and the higher up you get, the less time frame you have. In high school, you still have a little bit more. But if you move your body just a little bit, your hips and your head, it gives you that opening, and I was able to hit it. And it was a lot of fun, and it should have been 3 points, but the rules weren't there yet.
But I do remember that shot that you made, and that was with 14 seconds?
Well, Jefferson called timeout.
And Jefferson calls timeout.
Yeah.
And you guys worked it around. And I think, Rob, you made the shot, and that, like I said, that was well past the top of the keys. That would have been a 3-point shot. But and then that was like, because you guys had kind of been playing a little bit catch-up, is that right?
In our minds, we were playing catch-up the whole game.
And that shot gave you the lead. Yeah.
So timeout's called, and we come out, and we got the 2-2-1 on, and they go up the sideline. And you want to take it from there. Dinah's up.
Let me say one thing, then you get it. Because I remember in the huddle, coach is saying, have a loose 2-2-1. So bring it back, and don't push it. Don't try to trap, but have a real loose 2-2-1 press. And that allowed Jefferson to push the ball faster and get up to where they needed to go. And it actually exposed us more than we needed to expose ourselves.
Yeah, agree. So who took the shot again? Do you remember?
I believe Tim Lynch took it from the left side, and then the action occurred over on the right.
Yeah.
And the tip end was pretty much over me, I believe. On a position where I got too far under the basket, and I didn't box out well enough. And then I was guarding a wing trying to come in.
Yeah, it's hard in that situation when you're retreating to position. But
We were retreating so fast that none of us had a feel of where the court on the court we were, and I think all of us actually, we had 3 guys underneath the basket, and they had 3 guys 2 feet behind us, and they had the better angle.
We were too far under, and their height took over, and they make the tip.
They made a great play.
Yeah, Chris West tipped that in. So the timeout's immediately taken.
I would say it was rather one kind of neat thing as I remember this. Immediately, none of our players sunk their head. Because sometimes you get so disappointed, like, oh, we just lost the game. Immediately, 5 guys on the court in green-white uniforms go timeout to the official, and it was a quick tee. So we didn't lose a fraction of a second, just because we knew that there wasn't a perspective of game's over, we still have a shot. And that helped us out. And then we go back to the huddle over here, and immediately we sit down. Coach Savary is so funny. I still remember this to this day.
The band.
Our band is behind us, and Savary is telling them, don't play, you're too loud, I can't hear myself. And of course they're playing, they don't see anything that's going on. It's like, it's so funny. So then he comes out, and then we start talking about our options.
Yep.